Hello, Gun Nation. Big Johnson coming at you. All right, took some new shooter shooting this past weekend on Saturday, and I wanted to share this experience. So we're going to be talking about dots. Prior to that, let's do a gun check. I've got the Staccato C2 Duo with the SRO at the 12 o'clock position and an LAS concealment holster that I've had to alter quite a bit to make it work perfectly for me. But love the pistol, love the dot. And let's go ahead and get into the video. So I did take my best friend, which is a new shooter. I took his son and his wife. His son is 18 years old, just graduated high school, going into the Marine Corps. He just was passed down a Colt Model 70, 1911 45 nickel, beautiful gun. And I did actually get him a set of custom lock grips for it, for graduation, and a bag and some other stuff. And if you're interested in lock grips for any of your pistols, you can use my code. It's BJGG10, BJGG10, all caps. That'll save you 10% off of your purchase. But there you go. If you need a pistol stand too, they've got some badass pistol stands, but that's not what this is about. All right, we're going to be talking about dots. But prior to that, let me give you the scenario. Also, these three people are best friends of mine. I did not want them on video because of their jobs, and also him about to go into the Marine Corps. Don't want to mess up anything there. So everything I'm telling you is honest facts. You know, if they want to chime in on this video, they can verify that too, or, you know, tell you what I'm going to be saying. So what we did is we took the Colt 45. He wanted to shoot it. Shot it with 230 grain ball, and he shot it. I let him shoot. Now he is, the 18-year-old is an awesome airsoft shooter. I mean, he competes, he does all of this stuff, won some events, all that stuff. But anyway, I did have to work on his stance because, of course, when you lean back with an airsoft, there's no recoil. So I did work on his stance, worked on his grip a little bit, got him all squared away there, so he could shoot better groups. Once he started shooting after about 40 rounds, then I really started taking into account his groups before I did what I'm going to say that I did, okay? Let him shoot it, just the iron sights. Y'all have all seen those iron sights. They're not great. They're just combat sights on the 1911, so they're not the easiest to pick up. However, there's other guns involved in this video too that I'll talk about. So I let him shoot his groups with his 1911. Little bit to the left, you know, newer shooter, 45, a little more recoil or more push. His groups at 7 yards were about that big, okay? If you can see, maybe, I don't know, 8 inches or so, something like that, about that big. After he shot that, it was warmed up, put quite a bit of rounds down it, and he was using the stock mag, and he was using my Wilson Combat 10-round mags. We were loading those up so he could keep shooting. So he's good and warmed up. I handed him my STI, not my Staccato, my original STI SS45 full size 5.0, and it has been modernized with the dot by Vulcan Machine Works. I will put a thumbnail in the picture so when you see that, you will know which gun it is. I let him shoot that. Same ammo, same magazines, let him shoot that. And I explained to him, don't stare at the dot, target focus. Look at your target, and then, you know, let the dot get in the way. So he started shooting. I caught him a couple of times staring at the dot. When I would see his groups, I said, were you looking at the dot? And he said, yes. And I said, do not look at the dot, because he is a brand new dot shooter. Never even done it before. So after he got zoned in, his groups went from about that to in the head, all in the head at 7 yards. And I'm talking, you know, y'all have seen me shoot those. They're like the pink, you know, body silhouettes, and the blue ones, all in the head. So they were about that big, maybe that big. All the rounds of 45 were that big. So he went from that to that with a dot, okay? So then he shot the Glock 45 MOS, but it does not have a dot on it. I explained to him, you know, line it up, focus on your front sight, and, you know, shoot the target. So I watched him shoot the 9mm quite a bit and got an idea of his groups. 7 yards, he was shooting about that big with the Glock 9mm 45. Then I took out my CZ P10F with the SRO. I said, try this. He had kind of gotten used to the dot on the 45. He shot the dot on the P10F, and his groups went from about that to about that, just with a dot. Then I let his father try the Glock 45, which is his. Purchased at Texas Gun Experience also. Let him shoot that, his own gun, and then put him on a dot. He shot the dot better. Went from here, actually he was about to here, went from there to about there with just a dot. They were listening to everything that I was telling his son, so they were mimicking that. And then she shot the Glock 45 without the dot, and she's very, very new to guns. But, so 3 people, and I did let her look through it and everything, and then also, I put the 18-year-old back behind my Staccato C2 that I'm carrying right now. I put FMJ 115 in it and let him shoot it. He shot it like a boss. All headshots. I asked them two, she didn't really shoot a dot. I asked those two, okay, y'all are new to dots. You're fairly new to guns, real guns in general. They're avid, not even, I wouldn't say avid shooters. Maybe once every 3 or 4 months they might go shoot. But I asked them, which do you prefer? The irons or the dot? Both of them said the dot. I said, why? They said, because you don't have to try to line up this and then focus on the front sight and all this. Your dot is where the bullet's going to go. I said, exactly. I even had the 18-year-old do a couple of low readies, with both guns, the irons and then the dot. He was faster with the dot. Now, I didn't put him on timers. I don't want to stress him out, but I'm just saying, all the FUDs, and I get it all the time, you don't need a dot. Dot's stupid. Dots are dumb. Stay with iron sights. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, and you can have backup iron sights, and you can look through your window even if your dot were to ever go down. I personally have never had a dot go down, and I've been shooting dots now for over 2 years on all guns, pretty much. When I actually go back to irons, it's a little slower for me. I've noticed it. So, and I'm not a professional shooter. I don't claim to be. I'm just saying, all of these new people that are FUDs, so to say, and they're saying it's stupid, dots are the current and they're the future. That's the way it's going. So if you have not tried a dot, please don't knock it. Try one, commit to one. These were 2 out of 3 shooters. She never tried the dot again. But 2 brand new dot shooters, and they prefer dots already, even over irons. Because I think if you put somebody behind a dot and they're going to shoot better groups, that's going to give them more excitement. It's going to give them think that they're a better shooter. So it's not a bad thing. But I asked them their honest opinions, and that's what they said. So do not be a FUD. Do not knock dots if you have no freaking experience with dots. Basically, you're talking out of your ass and you're regurgitating the same bullshit other people do. I remember back when red dots were going to be dumb to put on rifles. Look at it now. So if you don't have a red dot, you're basically a dumbass. So that's the way it's going to be for the pistols going forward, I believe. I've said this before. So don't knock it if you haven't tried it. And remember, an unarmed nation's a very weak nation, so we all got to carry on.